Hey gang, Chris Dorr here from the American Firearms Association. I'm going to give you the real reason why the Philadelphia shooting is being swept under the rug by the fake news media. All right, so let's break this shooting down. It happened July 3rd in Philadelphia. It left 5 people dead. I think one of them was 15 years old. Several children injured, and I want to break it down for you here. We all know that the radical left are like that old childhood fairy tale. Rumpelstiltskin, I think, is what his name was. He spun the straw into gold for the king. These people, the fake news, the left, they spin the blood of the innocent dead into gold for their agenda of disarming America. That's what gun control is all about. It's disarming their political opposition. That is why they never let decency or respect for the innocent dead. They never let those things stop them before they start spinning the story for their gun control push. We see this all the time. All these high-profile shootings, the ones that they elevate to being high-profile anyway. And I can think of like the Nashville shooting would be the most recent example of a big one down there at that Christian church school where a trans person walked in and murdered those 3 little babies and 3 adult teachers to go along with it. But every now and then, there's an obvious shooting that if it was committed by an angry white male, we all know it would get national, constant media attention. And when they don't, well, one has to ask themselves why. I'm here to answer that question. Let's take a look at this shooting here. Here's some basic facts. 5 people were murdered, like I said before. One of them was 15 years old. It happened Monday, July 3rd, right before we celebrated our Independence Day. It started off at 8:30 p.m. I know a lot of people were already shooting off fireworks at that point. It happened in the Kingsessing neighborhood of Philadelphia. That would be on the west side of the Schuylkill River. Like I said also before, several were injured by broken glass. Let's talk about Philadelphia for a second. This is a city that's been controlled by the Democrats for decades. They refuse to accept responsibility. But let's look at some of the numbers here. In 2021, they hit an all-time high record of 562 murders. That beat the 1991 record. They had 1,800 non-fatal shootings in 2021. Unbelievable. 1,331 carjackings in 2022 alone. Folks, you cannot drive down the street. You can't come to a stop. You can't pull up at a gas station, leave your car running. Goodness, no. And maybe you've heard about one of the chief problems that Philadelphia has. It's their district attorney. His name is Larry Krasner. He's a Hungarian-born George Soros bought and paid for leftist lunatic. The dude got $1.7 million from George Soros in 2017 to get elected. And don't forget, George Soros is the guy who's bankrolling a lot of these district attorneys. Kim Foxx in Chicago, Alvin Bragg, the guy who's going up after Trump in Manhattan up there in New York. This is indicative of all of these big cities. Krasner, this guy, like all these other big city district attorneys, he refuses to prosecute the violent criminals. Refuses to do it. The criminal class has gotten the message loud and clear, and they are taking to the streets and becoming increasingly violent. Krasner, after the shooting, he had a press conference, and this is what he said. Listen to this.
It is disgusting, the lack of proper gun legislation that we have in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I cannot agree more heartily with the mayor. It is disgusting that you can go to New Jersey and find a whole list of reasonable gun regulation that we don't have, that you can go to Delaware and there's almost as long a list of reasonable gun legislation that we don't have. Some of that legislation might have made a difference here. And it is time for everybody in our legislature, including the ones who would like to walk around with an AR-15 lapel pin, it is time for every one of them to face the voters. And if they're not going to do something, then the voters are going to have to vote them out. Because that's what that lapel pin means. It means vote me out. I am against you, and I'm against your safety. And a lot of us have had enough of it. I can tell you I certainly have had enough of it.
Can you believe that crap? Now he's all over the media saying that the FFL dealer that sold Carricker the firearm, the murderer, They should be sued out of business, even though we don't know if the firearm was purchased through a dealer or if it was stolen. If the firearm was sold through an FFL and the firearm passed the background check, what was the dealer supposed to do? Deny the sale because Carricker is black or because Carricker appeared to be trans? Well, they don't want to tell you. So that's one of the big problems with Philadelphia right now. They have the most restrictive gun laws in the entire state of Pennsylvania. The district attorney has made it clear to everybody that they're not going to persecute and prosecute violent criminals. The criminal class has gotten the message, and now they're taking to the streets and making it absolutely hell on earth for God-fearing, patriotic, freedom-loving, peaceful Pennsylvanians. Let's talk about this killer for a minute. His name is Kim Brady Carricker. 40-year-old black male. He used an AR-type rifle, had a bulletproof vest, several spare mags. If this guy was white, we would not hear the end of it. They would be talking about it right and left, front and center. Every single fake news media outlet in America would be cranking out those stories right and left. But he wasn't. He wasn't a white person. The killer, I don't like to say their name, this Carricker person. I don't like to say their name, but they had a criminal record about a mile long, gun charges, drug charges, all kinds of problems on there. But let's get down to the meat and potatoes. You want to know why the fake news media is not making this their new massive push for huge federal gun control? Here's why. Take a look. That's the picture of a 40-year-old black male. The reason why the radical left and their allies in the fake news media are not pushing this narrative and using this to try to crank down on gun control nationwide, if a picture says 1,000 words, I think you know the rest of the story.